俺はさ、昔から何でも小器用にこなせる方だった。剣もナイフも人並み以上だったし、目足も随分効く方だった。でも、どれも一番になれなかった。
RPGs, or role-playing games, is a genre where players assume the role of a character in a fictional setting. This is the general definition that Wikipedia provides, and it can be misleading. When I first heard of the term, I was like, oh, so every single player game can be an RPG. However, after you've played a couple of them, you begin to recognize the elements that have become a staple of the genre. These are not set in stone, but some of the most important ones include things like earning experience points and leveling up, numeric stats for all of your abilities and traits, and character classes such as a warrior, a thief, or a spellcaster if you're a pussy. This latter element being a focal point for this video. You see, while some RPGs randomly increase your stats every time that you level up that character, some games allow you to decide these points personally. To put it simply, if you want to take less damage from hits, you spend those points on increasing your defense stat. If you want to hit your enemies harder, you spend those points on increasing your strength stat, and so on. Admittedly, if you just grind experience and level up whatever stat you choose, eventually your character will be so strong, so over-leveled that decisions will stop mattering. You can probably complete the main story of most games by doing this method. However, the most optimal way to get the most out of any RPG is by paying attention to your character's strengths, maxing those out, and then figure out a way to navigate around your weaknesses. In other words, turning the members of your party into specialists. I see a lot of people on YouTube copy-pasting AI into their scripts, reading them to you, and then just calling that a video essay. In my videos, I make an effort to use what I love about video games and anime and present them to you in a way that's going to be useful for other areas of our lives. For example, the ending of this video is something that you will probably won't find anywhere else. So if you have enjoyed it so far and agree, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It helps a lot. And if you want to find out what I'm talking about, here you go. So which one's better? Being a jack of all trades or being a master and absolute expert at one thing? The debate of generalists versus specialists have been around for hundreds of years. The quote that I showed you at the beginning of the video is attributed to William Shakespeare. He famously said, "A jack of all trades is a master of none." Baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, we were all sort of raised under this philosophy. We are supposed to go to school, get a title, find a job, and then just work our way up through the ranks. But these past decades, it has become common knowledge that in reality, Shakespeare's quote reads like this: "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." This completely flips over the philosophy. It implies that you shouldn't specialize because oftentimes a generalist will be better, will be more valuable. The internet is full of videos defending this idea. Basically, they all say that times have changed and specialists are employees, while generalists have used their versatility in order to become presidents and CEOs.
I'm Jack of all trades. Just call me Jack. And you are? Who am I? Oh, right. I'm the master of one. I just got my master's degree in specializing of specialists.
And friends, I am a generalist. I high in openness. I am flexible. I should feel flattered or glad that this is the case, right? But some of my closest friends are specialists and I've seen what they can do. I have seen them fulfill their goals and set a standard to the point that I can't help but feel that these videos lack a little perspective. They almost feel like a defense mechanism for us generalists to feel better and get some kind of comfort for not being masters at anything. As if suggesting that since we are, suited for leadership, there's no need to specialize at anything. If you're not familiar with Dr. Jordan Peterson, he's a psychologist, author, and one of the most influential public intellectuals of our time. He has received widespread attention for his views on topics like behavior, personality, and what it takes to be successful in today's culture. In one of his lectures, he talked about generalists not wanting to specialize at anything, and he addresses it as something potentially dangerous.
I think that being a jack of all trades is pretty damn useful, but I would also say that it's really necessary to buckle down and find one primary mode of discipline. And what that does is buttress you against the unexpected and give you some stability on along many of the potential dimensions of your life. And that frees you up to take larger risks in the creative domain. Once you have a primary discipline, then you can branch out and become a multiplicity in your disciplined approach. And then you're absolutely bloody unstoppable.
I will leave you the link for the full lecture below in case you're interested, but he basically says that specializing on something will build you, will armor you up. And once you have that stability in the form of a master discipline, your strengths as a generalist will be more open to manifest freely, and that will make you unstoppable. But you need to specialize. Otherwise, you run the risk of scattering yourself, and that is exhausting. Circling back to role-playing games, if you decide to make your character all-rounded, the struggle will be obvious if you compare it to someone who uses their resources intelligently and has a proper character build. Sure, they won't be able to wield every weapon in Elden Ring, but who needs that when you can just do this? Speaking of Elden Ring, the class selection in that game is awesome. You see, traditionally in RPGs, you are forced to pick your class from the beginning. It's kind of like choosing your first major, and you better like it, because if you don't, you are stuck with it until you start a new game or change majors. These classes will dictate the way that you will play for the rest of the game, and picking the wrong class will straight up hurt your enjoyment of any RPG. In Elden Ring, however, you can pick whatever class you want, and later in the game, you have the liberty to reassign those level of points however you see fit. They let you sample the game as a quote-unquote generalist, and then it allows you to specialize and build a style that matches your preferences. Eventually, you will have enough points to mix more aptitudes together. There is one more thing that I wanted to cover, and that is JRPGs, or Japanese role-playing games. These are essentially part of the same genre, but there is one thing that sets them aside: teamwork. For the most part, in JRPGs, combat and missions are carried out in teams. Now, you don't select who joins your team. Usually it's not that you recruit them because their skills caught your eye. The game just uses the story to introduce them to you, and they become part of your party. Think Final Fantasy VII, Xenoblade Chronicles, Persona 5, etc. Compared to the freedom that you have when it's just your character, parties may sound like a burden, but JRPGs are made for you to find harmony in the diverse skills of all of your team members. Take Xenoblade for example. Reyn doesn't hit particularly hard, but he can take a lot of hits. Additionally, he can taunt enemies to make him the target of their attacks. This gives Shulk the opportunity to perform a critical hit at the enemy's back. Aerith from Final Fantasy VII is physically weak. She is not very good at doing lots of damage, but she's got the most magic out of everyone, making her the perfect healer for the party. In JRPGs, everyone has a function according to their strengths, and it's only thanks to this harmony that games can be completed. In 2024, Forbes published an article about the impact of diversity in performance. It states that the data is unmistakably clear. Companies committed to diversity and inclusion significantly outperform those who aren't. Additional perspectives, strengths, and ideas dramatically accelerate complex problem solving. Studies show that these companies had a 27% financial advantage over others. Fighting Whitney's Miltank in Pokemon Gold and Silver is hard because you have nothing that is super effective against her. The lack of fighting type moves at this stage is expensive to the player, just like lack of diversity is becoming more expensive to companies. Specialization builds structure, and it's not limited to just getting a degree. Even if you are a generalist, I would encourage you to find a discipline and focus on it. Even if you discovered that this wasn't for you, it's not going to be a waste of time, because the pursuit of any discipline or knowledge always pays off, even if that payoff is not the one you were expecting. Something as little as just finding out what you definitely don't like is infinitely times better than standing still. As I like to say, our time is more valuable than ever. Since this video connects real people to RPGs, I thought it would be a cool idea to see what that would actually look like. If real life was an actual RPG, how would you level up? What are your stats? What stats should you be focusing on? Now, clearly I took this far more seriously than I should have, but if you're a psychopath like me, and you need a system and rules for everything, here you go. So there are 7 main stats. Some of them are self-explanatory, but I'm gonna go over them anyways, so pay attention. First one is physical. This is your body, your health, your fitness, however you want to call it. Then we have social. These are the social skills that will help you in life, making friends, negotiating, etc. Then we have intelligence. These I'm referring to as your IQ, your gray matter, your intelligence in academics, or what people call book smart. Then we have wisdom. This one is the one that comes with experience, and it depends on your emotional intelligence. It's the one that helps you with your choices, your life decisions, etc. Then we have luck. Sounds miscellaneous, but it's no surprise to anyone that some people are born with better luck than others. Are you in a wealthy family? Were you born healthy? Were your parents cool, etc.? And finally, we have the financial stat. Wealth is important. We are not fooling anybody. Now, here are the rules. Your character begins after junior year in high school, after you have a somewhat defined personality. If it's too complicated, you can do it after high school, like when you started college. The important part, at least in this format, is that you don't assign them when you were born, because everyone is born differently. We don't know what we want, and it's just too difficult. So when you start in junior year or in college, whatever, you are level 14. You have 14 points to assign to whatever stat you want. This is what my character looked at the beginning. So for physical, I have 4. I've always been in good shape, always practiced sports. For social, I have 3. Thankfully, I've made really good friends in high school, and I've always been socially savvy. For discipline in junior year or in college, I only have 1. That one has a lot of room for improvement. For intelligence, your gray matter, your IQ, I have 1 because I don't think that's my forte. My forte, or what I do better, is wisdom. For that one, I have 2, at least back in the day. For luck, I put 3. I've always considered myself super lucky for my friends, for my family, for the way my childhood was. So yeah, it's a 3. And for financial, I have 0 because like any student, I was broke and I'm not wealthy. So these are the total stats of my character. Like I said, I was level 14. And now it's when the game begins, when you start leveling up. How do you level up? I'm glad you asked. There are 2 ways to level up. One is milestones. This one is +1. It's just 1 level. This one includes stuff like reaching goal weight, starting to work, starting a relationship with someone you really like, etc. The second way to level up is by major breakthroughs or achievements. This one includes stuff like getting a good job or a promotion, getting a breakthrough on a business, getting married, etc. Major breakthroughs at 3 level points. The thing is that after you pass level 20, major breakthroughs only will add 1. The idea, like any RPG, and I don't think life is any different, it becomes harder and harder to gain EXP as you become more level up. So after level 20, major breakthroughs and milestones, they all add you 1 level. Lastly, as a general guide, you want to make it to level 30. If you are in level 30, you are in a good path. You are ready for that DLC shit that's coming up. You are really good. For example, my character is only level 22, so that means I've only gained 8 levels since my character started. But hey, it's life. It's supposed to be hard. So don't just add levels carelessly. They are supposed to be scars. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you get the point. It's supposed to be difficult. Throughout these years, my level up points came from these breakthroughs and milestones. The first one is I finished school. Everything that came with it, I considered it a major breakthrough, so that gave me 3 points. Then everything just gave me 1. I started working, that's +1. I got back in shape. I bounced back after the quarantine, that's +1. I dated a lot of people, enough for me to learn what I really want in a relationship and to gain a lot of confidence as well, that's +1. I got really good at poker, that's +1. And I uploaded over 30 videos in my YouTube channel, so that's +1 as well. Like I said, in total, I'm level 22. I'm aiming to be level 30, and the ones that I want to focus the most are in financial, obviously, and discipline. So let's see how it goes. I'm planning to maybe redo this thing in 5 years if everything goes well. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what level I am. Actually, I had a little fun doing this thing, so try it out. Let me know how your stats look, and yeah, enjoy. Thank you so much for watching the video, staying until the end. if you want to watch something cool, this is what YouTube is recommending to you. And if you want to watch something that relates to this topic, try watching this one. I'm really proud of that. Thank you so much and have a good one. Bye.